This is the Relevant Podcast.
It's episode 1181, and it's a Relevant Podcast. Here in Orlando, I'm your host, Cameron Strang, and joining me from Loverland, Virginia, it's Jesse Carey.
Hello, hello.
From Nashville, our managing editor, downtown Emily Brown.
Hey, y'all.
And in LA, you know from Social Club Misfits, it's Marty.
What's up?
We have a great show, a timely show in store for you today. Coming up later, we talk to WNBA legend Maya Moore.
Wow.
She literally won every accolade you can win, from Rookie of the Year, Finals MVP, League MVP, scoring title, 4 championships. Here's why it's timely. Not only is she in the new issue of Relevant talking about a different court that she's taken on and dominating now, but
The Supreme.
no, not the Supreme.
I thought you were going to say the same thing.
She is
I
working
thought you were
on
going there.
She's working on
maybe.
prison reform and judicial issues.
wow.
I thought she was getting her own like she was going to be like a TV judge.
Yeah.
Holding court with Maya Moore. Anyway, she's coming up. But also, she was a 2-time Olympic gold medalist. So we thought, hey, the Olympics are coming up in like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So there you go. Maya Moore's coming up. And super timely show. This is the summer of sequels. I mean, the biggest animated movie of all time, Inside Out 2, is this summer. Obviously, there's yet another Minion sequel, another huge movie. Twisters is coming out this week. Twisters,
CGI.
the sequel. So we have a sequel game coming up at the end of the show. I call it Sequel 2 Electric Boogaloo. You don't want to miss that. Emily wrote it.
Good. Well, I'm excited for Maya Moore. I think we need to do everything we can to generate more interest in the Olympics because, you know, it's very underwhelming this year.
No, it's
I
not.
didn't even know the Olympics were 2 years. I didn't even know the Olympics were 2
Dude,
years.
there's
Martin.
breakdancing. What are you talking about?
Well, okay,
The beach volleyball court is right under the Eiffel Tower. It's amazing.
Which channel is it on?
It's going to be on Peacock and NBC,
It's
but it
Tubi.
hasn't started
Tubi.
yet. Tubi.
Tubi this year. Voodoo. I've many times like discussed ways that we can improve, make the Olympics watchable, particularly the Summer Olympics, where it's mainly a lot of like track and running. Okay.
Right.
This is not great stuff for TV. I've said before, one of my ideas is to put an average Joe or Jane in these events to let the public see just how because I don't know how good a javelin throw is. Like I have no context for that.
Right.
Like, the commentators are saying it's good, but I don't know. So again, anyone just put an average Joe or Jane. But I was thinking about the other thing. I Cameron, you mentioned breakdancing is in these Olympic Games. Also 3-on-3 basketball, and it's first 1 to 21, 1s and 2s, like, you know, we're talking like rec ball, driveway.
They're playing horse this year. Horse, HORSE.
That's what. So I started thinking like I'm very much looking forward to breakdance more so than like track and field, like hurdling or whatever. Like I'm more looking forward to breakdancing and 3-on-3 basketball. But I started thinking like, why not horse? Why not dodgeball? Why not just Squid Game this thing? Like, why not make the games we all know from, like, you know, gym class? Remember crabs? Did you guys play crab soccer where you're
on your hands
with the big earth ball? Remember the earth ball?
Sounds great.
Yes. What about that parachute game where you throw the parachute up and everyone kind of got to run over? You got to get
little Red Rover while we're at it.
That's what I'm saying. What if we Squid
Dude, I dominated Red Rover. I would always go after the girl who had a crush on her arm, you know, like, and it almost break her arm, but you know, she noticed me, so that was good.
That's the most pathetic thing I've ever heard.
But wouldn't that? You're telling me you would rather watch the best athletes in the world, like in a foot race, versus, you know, competing in old school, you know, gym games or driveway games. You know what I mean? Like
some like D1.
Give me Olympic level hopscotch. That, you know what I'm saying? Like, let's take things up a notch.
Jesse, I thought of you this weekend. I was watching on HBO. You and I are big fans of the Hard Knocks documentary series that covers the NFL teams. And for 30 years, they would always do training camp of an NFL team As you know, I don't watch the NFL. I don't have a rooting interest. I don't care, but I always watch Hard Knocks. It's fascinating. Anyway, so then they expanded because it was so popular to do Hard Knocks in season, and they followed a team during the actual season. Well, right now on Max, they're doing Hard Knocks off season with the New York Giants. And I couldn't care less about the New York Giants, but of course I'm watching it. And they went to the draft combine where all the prospective NFL players get tested for speed, jumping, catching, all this stuff. And then they can evaluate them. They can all watch them. And one of the guys trying to make the NFL set an all-time record for the 40-yard dash. The previous record was 4.22 seconds to run 40 yards. He did it in 4.21, right?
Wow.
Yeah.
The GM or the head coach of the New York Jets is sitting up in the box with the GM and other coaches. Yeah. And he goes, do y'all think I could run the 4? And he's shaped like a potato. Let me just say that as an establishment.
Yeah. This is the Giants coach, not the Giants coach. The Jets is,
the Giants coach. He's shaped like a potato. And he goes, he was former offensive coordinator at Alabama, just kind of good old Southern boy. And he's like, do y'all think I could run the 40 in 7 seconds? And all these scouts and evaluators, professionals, are laughing at him and to his face. Absolutely not. And he's like, no, I really could. He's dead serious. Because he's offended that they think he can't. And then they're like, well, what do you think? If he's 4.22, you think, what do I need? 8? Okay. If he's starting at the 0, what yard do you think I have to start at to beat him? If I start at the 10, could I beat him? And they're like, no, absolutely not. 20? They're like, dude, you'd have to be at the 35. Literally at the 35 out of 40 to beat this guy. He's so mad. And I'm literally thinking of your thing, Jesse, where it's here's a normal dude going up against a world-class athlete to give us context at how fast that guy is. Because if this is a normal dude shaped like a potato running, I want to see how fast the other guy zooms by him. I was Jesse was right. No, of course he didn't. He was up in the skybox, but he was just talking smack. But I was just thinking, Jesse's onto something here. I want to see him on the field.
Because if I'm watching some random Olympic event and they're like a new world record, it's I don't know if that's impressive or not because everyone out there
it's kind of the same speed.
A new world record by a foot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He threw it a foot further. Am I supposed to be that impressed? They basically all threw the thing the same distance or crossed the finish line roughly at the same time. Yeah. Put it average, or just put games that I know my level of performance. If we're playing horse out, to Marty's point, I know what, around about how good I or just random people in the gym would be. Or like I said, elementary school games, even throw a board game or two in the mix. You know what I'm saying? Why not?
I wouldn't mind seeing dodgeball with D1 athletes, really strong throws to the noggin. I would love to see that. They didn't quite make the Olympics, but they are throwing at 80 mile per hour.
Red Rover. With wrestlers and football players?
Yes, that's what I'm talking about. Maybe there's some room for some professional athletes that, maybe I want to see Scott Steiner go through Red Rover. Maybe I want to see Hulk Hogan.
Professional athletes doing Everyday Joe games. And then with the professional games, you throw an Everyday Joe into the mix.
Here's my question with the Everyday Joe, though. Say you do get someone to agree to be the average test whatever for
the barometer.
The barometer. Yeah. But it's
on the baseline.
But that's the thing. It's is the average person are they okay at dodgeball? Are they terrible at dodgeball?
No.
Are they amateurs?
No, you flip it. You put the professional athletes doing everyday games, and then you still have the professional athletes doing track and all that stuff, but you throw a normal Joe into the professional games.
No, I know. I understand that. I'm saying
I don't think you have normal people doing the everyday games. I think you have the pros doing it.
I'm saying, how do they determine, when we say the average Joe, is it someone who, say, for shot put or whatever, is it someone who, they
go to a target.
Yeah, they can't even throw it 6 inches.
It's like you get drafted into the military.
Oh, so it's drafted now. Okay.
The selection committee just walks up to somebody at Home Depot and says, you need to be on our shot put team.
See, I think they should still do tryouts, kind of like that one movie in Invincible or something like that, where
the replacements.
They found Mark Wahlberg. Remember, Mark Wahlberg gets they need to have somebody there who is, hey, this guy is, he ran an 8-minute mile. Okay, let's include him. He's kind of the average.
See, The other idea that I've had is somehow incorporating the extremely elderly. And what I mean by that is like each country, you can also in any event get a citizen over the age of 90 to compete. But for every year over 90, like if it's a running event, they get like another every age year
like
over 90 is like 20,
or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And just to see how they fare. I just feel like that would be a good way to mix it up as well. I would watch that.
I can only imagine that ends in disaster.
Like
Well,
cardiac
once
arrest
again-
sort of thing, or like he pulls a hammy just waddling down the track.
There's definitely injuries, and
Yeah.
then it's just like sad. Just
If
to
there's
watch.
one 95-year-old hooping with like going down in the post with like some Serbian 7-footer, you're telling me you're not just kind of curious about what's going to happen? Like,
I mean, I'm curious what's going to happen.
and if he scores, it's worth 25 points. So they're just feeding that old man the rock. I'm just telling you, it would make things more interesting. Because teams would inevitably get into circumstances in the game where their only chance of winning is
That
if
25 point.
if that 100-year-old man gets one bucket and
Merle,
they just
Merle heaves
Yeah.
a 25-pointer for the win.
I'm just saying all of these things would make if Marty, if these things were happening, you would definitely know the Olympics are coming.
Yeah, and you know what? Here's the thing. I just unsubscribed from Peacock because I felt like all they had was. I mean, I love seeing Everybody Loves Raymond, and I love watching.
I watch Peacock every day.
Yeah, I love like the TV
Same.
shows, but sometimes the movies they kind of I don't know. And then they started raising the price again, and I was like, I already have Hulu for free because I keep renewing my like Verizon plan, and it just gives me like a year of Hulu for free. So like I just renew the plan, and I get that mixed with Disney. But I'm like, do I want to pay $12 for Peacock with commercials? I don't know.
I'm telling you,
Yeah.
I watch The Office, King of Queens,
King of Queens, a big
SNL,
one on that one.
back in the,
Yeah.
when it's on. Like I watch it for the shows. They have the best binge,
The
background
best TV shows
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah, then they have all the Fast and the Furious, and you're like, okay, cool.
And 30
Love
Rock,
Island.
and apparently Love Island's on there. Emily's into
As
that.
long as it's UK edition, that's the only one we're watching.
No, that's the one on Hulu. I got to switch them back and forth.
Yeah, that's
Watch
the
them both.
one that
But why
everyone's
not?
really talking about.
But speaking of which, why not have one reality, dating competition in the Olympics too, where
Oh.
each country.
Are you talking
Speed
about
dating.
There is Love Island Games, which is a dating game competition where like they are competing for love and also like they have to do these challenges for basically like a gold medal.
Why not Olympic Survivor?
Yeah,
You know,
The
like,
Bachelor
let's-
Road Rules. You know what I'm saying? Like, I
Yeah.
dig
Yeah.
that, Jesse. I think that's really
Yeah.
good.
I'm just saying, there's a lot of ways to
Spice things
generate
up.
some interest. Yeah,
A lot of money,
You know.
a lot of money opportunities for these
If
advertisers.
breakdancing is on the table, and frankly, all of these ideas should be
Glass
too.
blowing. Let's take every Netflix reality competition show, barbecue,
Knife making.
glass
Yeah,
blowing,
knife
making.
knife
throwing.
making, and turn it into Olympic sport. If breakdancing
Faking
can
people
work,
out with
I want to see a barbecue
highly
grilling
realistic
competition. Say
I
it
like that one.
again. Ace of Cakes.
Hot dog eating contest.
no, is it cake? Olympic level. Okay.
What does
They
that
go,
even
they go to
entail?
step on the stage, like the 1, 2, 3. They go step on
Floor
stage, they
is
fly
lava.
right through it. What the heck?
I've never
cake.
I've
Sorry.
never watched Is It Cake? Is the whole show literally we show you an object and you tell us if it's cake or not?
They show you like
Yes.
5 different objects of the same thing, and then you have to pick which one is cake.
Which one is cake?
They're so
It's
good.
the-
One lady sat on the couch and it was cake. The couch was cake. That was
I
a
saw
great.
one-
She just sat on the couch. She's like, "What? It's cake. I'm sitting on cake right now."
Yeah, it's very impressive. But I would like to see it done at the Olympic level, along with floor is lava. But here's the twist.
Yeah.
It's real lava.
Oh my god!
Well, I mean, the original Olympics was about Pompeii, wasn't it? He was running away
People
from the
have
volcano.
died
I don't
here.
know.
Yeah. We're gonna up the stakes. Ultimate glory. I'm telling you, people are watching.
It's a really good idea. I'm not even gonna lie. It's a great idea.
Did the
Great
Olympics
idea.
start because of the guy running the marathon from village to
No.
village? No.
No, I think the Olympics were like the Athenians just competing against each other.
Do you ever think about how messed up marathons are? This guy, marathons started 26.2 miles because
Yeah.
a guy famously ran in ancient Greece from town to town, 26 miles, and dropped dead. And now,
my
The town of
and
Marathon.
now
Yeah.
we're like, you know what? Let's run
That's
the
a
exact
great
same
idea.
length and not drop dead and show him how weak he was. Like that is, I don't know. I think it's
There
kind of
was
messed
a
up.
Jesse back in that time that pitched the idea. Wait a second, guys, we need to put this in. A crowd would want to see
You
this.
know
There
who
was a
won't die?
Jesse. Yeah.
You know who won't die running
The
26 miles?
multiverse.
This guy right here.
Yeah.
I'll show you.
Multiverse Jesse started this idea about 30,000
Wait,
years ago.
I actually love the
I've
idea
been
that like
full of good
Jesse's
ideas.
history is just the pranksters throughout history.
He's just revving people up, getting people excited about,
I plant ideas throughout history. It's the only question is,
He's like
am
Loki.
I born into a time where people appreciate the ideas into them? Because as we know, I'm an ideas guy, not an executor. I'm far too busy and lazy to actually make plans and do these things. I just gotta plant the seed with the right
You're
people.
just going to time travel, butterfly effect this thing, drop some ideas, see what happens. You're not going to.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I like
Come
it.
back to the present, and all of a sudden, we got elderly people in the Olympics for the fun of it,
Argo, Argo. I can see that movie happening again with Jesse.
All right.
We have the extremely elderly in the Olympics trying to score a miracle 50-pointer from some
We
guys.
make the elderly
101.
run 26 miles and see who drops dead, just like the original one. Just keeping it pure.
It's we don't think of it like that, but it does happen. It does happen. They know the risk.
They know the risk when they signed up by being at Home Depot and getting recruited. All right. Stay tuned. Up next, it's Slices. You're listening to Gus Dapperton. The song is Everything She Wants. Well, today's show is brought to you in part by Wired to Fish Coffee. So many companies are not rooted in Christian principles nowadays. However, they do exist. Meet Wired to Fish Coffee. Founded by Christian anglers who are crazy about the love of Jesus for his people, Wired to Fish Coffee gives back 25% of their net profits to faith-based programs and clean water initiatives. Wired to Fish Coffee also offers a smooth, robust taste rivaling any coffee shop brew. Give Wired to Fish Coffee a try today and join a community of people making a positive impact. Use code WeCare at wired2fishcoffee.com at checkout and get an additional bag for free. You can make a difference. Again, that's wired2fishcoffee.com. Okay, it's time for
Slices.
What do you have, Jesse?
I have a well-established position on space. I find it boring, and everything up there is kind of junky.
Agree to
And it
disagree.
takes too long to get to places, and there's a lot of math involved. And I'm just not into space stuff. However, I read a news story this week that reignited my interest, or ignited my interest because I've never been that interested. In fact, it's an active disinterest.
I can't believe someone who's been to space camp saying that that has to be blasphemy somehow.
That made me like it even less. It made me like space.
Because they got
Museums
mad
covering
at you.
science.
Because they got mad at you
trash.
for like blowing up a rocket ship.
They take it way too serious.
Whenever you went on field trips up to DC, wasn't the Air and Space Museum your favorite one? Like every
Natural
other
history,
kid's?
man. That woolly mammoth. No, natural history.
Natural history? You don't get you don't get astronaut ice cream in the gift shop at Natural History, only at Air and Space.
Yeah. We agree to disagree here. That astronaut ice cream is disgusting, by the way. Anyone who likes it is lying.
Wait,
They sell it at the gas station if it was any good, and they
do?
don't.
Yeah, they don't. They only
Why
sell
is
it.
it different? I've never had it. What
It's
Powder.
dehydrated.
It's
powder.
dehydrated,
it-
freeze-dried ice cream.
It's like chalk, but it's weird. I don't know, explain that.
It's only good because they don't have regular candy in the gift shop.
Why does it
I'll
only
tell you
come in
this,
Neapolitan? Why does it
Hey.
only come in pink, white, chocolate? Like,
Real talk, at the Natural History Museum, they got rock candy. So much better than astronaut food. So much
They also
better.
sell
Rock candy.
shiny pebbles. Like you end up paying like $4 per pebble. It's a
Yeah.
scam. The Natural History gift shop's a scam. Give me Air and Space any day of the week.
Anyway, well, I read a story this week that reignited some interest in space about a cave that was discovered on the moon. This cave is previously undiscovered, very, very deep, and it could potentially provide a place for people to have a base because it protects astronauts from radiation extreme temperatures, and space weather. Now, here's why it got me interested. Because Helen Sherman, the first British astronaut, has said that it could make a good base, but they would probably have to use jetpacks to get in and out of the cave. Game changer. They already got those dune buggies up there. Now we got jetpacks, caves, and dune buggies. It's a different approach to space, and I'm here for it.
Because there's a big deep cave and they have to use jetpacks to get down it. Now you're interested?
That sounds way more fun. Caves are awesome. Jetpacks are awesome. Dune buggies are awesome. Okay. It's just, it's not like one of those pop-up little, biodomes that you visited, Cameron, where everyone's trapped in. We got miles of cave to explore with jetpacks.
I mean,
That's
does
fun.
sound. See,
Pretty
okay,
good.
I've always
I
been
feel like
interested
that's a
in space.
Nintendo game. Like that's a Nintendo game, a 2D game. We're in a jetpack,
It's almost like
figuring it out.
Flappy Bird, where you have to like not hit the edges of the cave as you bounce around floating.
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
it.
Well,
No, I've always been interested in space, and so it's very funny to me that jetpacks are the thing that gets you interested in space.
Jetpacks were always part of space, Jesse. That's what they
Yeah.
use on
That's
spacewalks.
like one of the main selling points. Yeah.
Spacewalks. They have jetpacks. Have you not seen the one where Jodie Foster or who is
Contact.
that? The actress who
That's not a jetpack.
she floats away and George Clooney can't save her. Who is that?
That's
Sandra Bullock?
Sandra
Oh, yeah,
Bullock
yeah,
just
yeah.
floated away because her
Yeah.
jetpack didn't work.
You got
Those
Jodie
aren't
Foster mixed
jetpacks.
up with Sandra Bullock.
Those are very, as the movie shows, they're very unreliable as well. We're talking shooting. We're talking rocket. From what I presume by the single quote that I read in a news story, we're talking Rocketeer status through moon caves.
You don't think Sandra Bullock had a Rocketeer jetpack? I think it just she ran out of
Did
fuel
you
or
see
something.
the movie?
I kind of vaguely remember it.
Was that the one where
Yeah.
didn't she use like a fire extinguisher to kind of fly through space a little bit?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's
I think
a
so,
level we're
actually.
talking. Yeah, I'm talking real jetpacks and moon caves. Okay, have you guys ever been in a cave?
I'm always I
Where
don't
we at
like
on
to
caves?
go anywhere that has grass. I just gonna be frank with you. I just don't want to go anywhere that has grass.
Let's unpack that. What
Caves
do you mean?
don't really have grass. They're inside.
Yeah, it's outside. I'm good. Take me to the mall.
Caves
I'll be
are
fine.
inside. That's the whole point of them.
Yeah, but it's just it's a lot of work.
You
It's
have
like
to go outside
shoes,
to get inside.
rocks, sharp rocks. Like trails. I'm okay. I'm gonna be fine. I'm gonna be good.
Caves are full of adventure. A lot of times treasure. A lot of times cool bones and stuff.
Bats.
Stalactites and stalagmites. I mean,
They're dark. They smell like mildew.
they do
Yeah.
they do smell like mildew a lot of times. I was at Ruby Falls in Chattanooga a couple years ago. We went down. It's the second largest waterfall on the East Coast, and it's inside a cave. It's like
Oh wow.
you have to like go down through it.
I have a phobia. I think of that.
They ended up. It was surprising. We were down at the bottom of this cave, underneath this massive rock and mountain, and they had Wi-Fi down there. It was quite lovely,
Very
That's what I'm
good.
saying.
That
refreshing.
changes things. That changes things for me. That does change a couple things for me. Do they have a Nordstrom cafe?
They had a cafe once you got back up to
They
the
had a
surface.
Nordstrom cafe down there.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Wait,
It's quite
Jesse,
lovely.
I don't know if you read in the article, did they go in the cave or did they just.
No.
Okay.
No, they just found
There's
it
no humans on the surface of the
Well, I
moon
know,
right
but
now,
I'm just
Emily.
like, I know not a human went in it, but
They're
I'm.
planning, but to your point, they're planning on sending robots down there.
That's
and
what I was
to see if this could be a legit moon base.
Because I'm curious what a moon cave looks like. Like, is it.
We all are. Well,
Well,
Who
are
knows
we
what's
now,
down
Jesse?
there?
Because up until 5 minutes ago, you weren't. So.
Well, no, caves are never even in the equation. Now we're talking cave exploration. That's different than space stuff. Okay, cave exploration is nothing but cool adventure.
That might be the most insane thing you've ever said.
It's the most insane thing
exploration, a
You
cave.
can do that on Earth. You can explore caves on Earth. This is outer space. Why do you want to go in a hole in outer space? You go explore outer space.
Well, they're you're going to use jetpacks. Did I mention that?
The jetpacks.
We're not using those. We're not
I
using
don't
those
trust
in our
jetpacks in outer
caves.
space. Sandra Bullock's didn't work, and she floated off. So
Well,
Whenever I think of jetpacks, I
All I'm
think
saying-
of those videos of people like, I don't even know if it's technically a
this is
jetpack,
the
but like,
dumbest podcast yet.
but on the water, like when people like try to like fly over the water.
Yeah.
With the
Yeah,
little
yeah, yeah.
jetpack.
With the little
water
jetpack in the
jetpack.
water. Those are
Absolutely.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
like that one guy in the news. He's like, starting now, and he just dives right into the water. It's like one of my
Exactly what I'm
favorite clips.
thinking of.
Yeah,
I'd
that's
like to
what
see those in the Olympics. Put an average show on
the
those.
Olympics starting now. He just shoots right
Is
into
it
the
like, is it
upside
like
down.
a obstacle course race or something? Like, how do you envision they would compete?
It's just who can stay upright for the longest with never having tried this before ever. Like, you know.
Oh, we are
what
strapping
I wanna
world
see.
class like track athletes and wrestlers to these water jetpacks.
I just
Got it.
imagine
right.
them spinning over and over and over again because they don't know how to control it.
Yeah, that's pretty
be down for
accurate.
that.
But anyway, but they did say the discovery of this moon cave makes some sort of moon base far more likely. And actually, they said within maybe even the next like 20 years, we could have people living in these because it does alleviate a lot of the concerns, mainly like radiation protection when you're talking about colonizing the moon. So this is just great news.
Before we go to the next slide, just real quick, I'm seeing a lot of commotion outside my window right here. This morning, I was awoken by a loud house shaking boom.
Oh,
Sounded like an explosion. I went out to see what was going on because a couple of neighbors were milling around. And there's a big old electrical pole, just to the left of my house out here. And apparently it exploded because a squirrel got up in it. And this squirrel shot off, like the neighbor described it, like shot off like a bullet. And this big burned, bloated squirrel was in my yard.
oh my
Like
goodness!
it had been fried to death and it got thrown 200 feet. Anyway, the power company's out there apparently replacing this big power transformer. So if I lose power, that's why.
Your son was throwing like
blame the
little
squirrel.
nuts up there, like, hey, if something comes.
But if you've ever had fried squirrel, it's delicious.
It's my first thought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. What do you have, Marty?
Hey, what's going on, guys? I just had to start it like that always.
I like it.
All right, so I was reading this article this morning. One of my favorite movies is Good Will Hunting. All right,
Same. Love it.
really just it's I have this theory where if you watch a movie on a plane, you're gonna cry. Just something about it is just gonna create this emotional stirring inside of you. I don't know what it is. I think it's like you're just vulnerable on the plane. I don't know. I saw that years ago on the plane, and it's kind of always stuck with me. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. But did you guys know originally it was going to be an action film?
That makes
How so?
yeah.
What was the central tension that required action?
So first,
not long form math problems.
So firstly, you have
Vin
to understand
Diesel
this makes-
betrayed. Sorry.
Yeah, Triple X, Good Will Hunting, a version of it. But imagine, well, first off, you have to take a step back and realize that Ben Affleck and they wrote that movie about themselves, which makes me laugh because he was like, what if I was the smartest man in the world? Like, and then I lived in this Boston area. Like, he just made this whole, theory about himself. But apparently the original script was him being very, very smart, figuring out math problems, and then the government finding him and kind of bringing him into a spy program and making him almost into like somebody who worked almost like Jason Bourne.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Jason Bourne. Originally, that was a script. Rob Reiner, who is one of the best directors, Princess Bride, Spinal Tap, Harry Met Sally. When he read the script, he was like, the script is great, but you should tone it down and bring it, make it to a drama. Once it was made into a drama, it was made into a film. Originally they wanted, here's another fun fact. Originally they wanted Denzel Washington to play the therapist, but they got Robin Williams to play him. But they wanted it to be an action film because at the time, the movies that were coming out were, L.A. Noir movies like L.A. Confidential, these movies about figuring these regular smart people figuring out crime. So fun fact, Good Will Hunting was originally going to be a action film, which would have totally deteriorated their career. Like it would have ruined their career. They won an Oscar.
Disagree.
I feel like it really would have made it I feel like we would have got part 2 or 3 and 4 eventually.
I would have loved to seen it. I thought it to me is like, call what it is kind of boring.
Good Will Hunting.
Whoa, that's a hot
It's not your
take.
fault,
no
Jesse.
Soul.
It's not your fault,
First
Jesse.
you hate
It's not your
space,
fault.
now you hate good movies.
Oh,
What movies do you like, Jesse? So we could just give you.
If Steven Seagal is involved, he loves it. You know,
right. If it culminates in a knife fight in like the bowels of a aircraft carrier, I'm probably seeing it.
Roadhouse.
If the two lead actors have to swap faces at any point, he's in.
I'm probably in on
Nicolas
that.
Nicolas Cage in.
Yeah. It's not what my favorite movies are. It's what makes a good film. What makes a watchable film.
You're my dad. If there's not somebody getting shot within the first 10 minutes of the movie, he's like, this is kind of, I don't get it. I just don't get it. I'm like, Dad, we're watching.
If I needed.
We're watching. It's Pulp Fiction. You know, it takes some time to rev up, and my dad's like, I'm good. Anything else to watch? Midway.
I appreciate your father. Sounds like he's got good taste.
All right. Real quick, Emily, what do you have?
Yeah, I do actually want to talk about this really quick. So I was reading an article from Slate earlier this week, or over the weekend. So I don't know if y'all remember last year, the U.S. Surgeon General Vivek Murthy, he was talking a lot about how the defining public health issue of our time is social media and how it's impacting all of our mental health and all these things. And he was kind of comparing the impact of it and the loneliness that we can feel from it to tobacco. And just it has like a physical toll on it. But this article was really interesting because it was talking about how we can't really compare it to something like tobacco because social media does have a lot of positive effects. And it's just something interesting to think about because it's like while we're talking about the negative impact it has and we're trying to figure out, how do we protect kids and how do we set up these parameters, there are also a lot of positives from social media. So we can't like completely cut it off.
Don't people who smoke like get relaxation from it and stuff like that?
Get a little euphoric moment.
Yeah,
sure. So there's but there's always
the long-term negative consequences outweigh the short-term.
Right, but it's like even if yes, short-term, you do feel good about yourself, whatever. There is always like every time you smoke a cigarette, it could lead more and more to lung cancer. Like there is always going to be a negative effect, no matter if you have a short-term positive. Whereas with social media, like, yes, you could argue that the long-term might be a worse impact, but short-term, I don't know. I don't know. It just was a really interesting way to think about social media because I think we always think about it in like such a negative light, but we really should, as we're like putting parameters on it, as we're making policies about it, we do have to really like outweigh the pros and cons. And this argument was actually talking about we should maybe treat it more like food, where like we have all these labels on our food where it's like, how you intake food's up to you, but we'll just let you know like too much of this can lead to cardiac arrest or it could lead to just a nice meal.
Food. Okay, that's interesting. So it's not that all food is bad or all, whatever.
It's like the nutritional facts at the back of a food label.
So it's like
it's even like what type of social media you're engaging, how often, what time of day, what your demeanor is when you engage it. Yeah, that's interesting. Like if you're unhealthy, you shouldn't eat this, but if you're a healthy person, you could eat that in moderation. That's interesting.
But I guess at what point does that become self-evident? You know what I mean? Like I get with food, they can disguise flavor and nutrition in various ways, or put in preservatives or things you might be allergic to that will require disclosure. But at what point is it just like, okay, we all kind of understand the downside of
I think it's the age and maturity of the user. I mean, I think I was listening to a interview on NPR last week. It had a little driveway moment, had to finish it sitting in the driveway. And it was a neurosurgeon, a neurologist that was talking about the lifelong consequences that we're now seeing for younger people that are using social media and how it affects their mental health, how their brain is wired and all this other stuff. I think that is different than somebody who's a mature, fully developed 35-year-old, being able to thoughtfully engage things that are good or not good for them. I think kids, their brains are getting rewired and we don't know the long-term consequences yet of stuff like that. So it's interesting. All right. Well, there's a lot more where that came from. Check out relevantmagazine.com every day where we are covering the intersection of faith, culture, and everything in between. Thanks. All right. Stay tuned. Up next, Maya Moore joins us. You're listening to Telemona. The song is 3 a.m. Well, today's show is brought to you in part by American Prophet. In this new novel, Peter begins to have dreams of major events just before they happen. As his dreams come true, he attracts followers as well as skeptics. Conspiracy theories and violent threats force Peter to the open road, driving him deep into the heart of a divided nation. American Prophet by Jeff Fulmer is on sale now at Amazon, Audible, and iTunes. Go check out American Prophet by Jeff Fulmer today. Where our guests today are Maya Moore and her husband, Jonathan Irons. She's a WNBA legend, and I do mean legend. She's won 4 WNBA championships. She was Rookie of the Year. She was League MVP, Finals MVP, scoring title, literally everything you can win in WNBA she's done. 5-time WNBA first-team player. And in 2020, she was named one of Time Magazine's 100 most influential people. But since she's hung up her jersey, she's been focusing on a different court, prison justice reform. Maya actually met her husband, Jonathan, while he was still in prison serving a 65-year sentence for a crime he didn't commit. Their story is incredible. And here is Emily's conversation with Maya Moore and her husband, Jonathan Irons.
Maya, you've been so outspoken about how faith has played a role in your life. I'd love to know specifically, how did faith play a role in your basketball career?
So my faith journey, goodness, in my life, one of the things that I'm so grateful for was something that I couldn't control, and that was the family I was born into. I'm just grateful that I was born into a family, not a perfect family, but a family that tried to authentically do the best that they could to walk with the Lord, to love people, to be there for their family. And so there was a lot of things modeled for me when I was young. Looking back now, there was a lot of things I'm realizing that was modeled for me in regards to showing up for people. Whether it was my great uncle showing up for Jonathan, showing up for certain things, or my mom showing up for me at every practice, went to work every day to make sure she could raise me the best she could as a single parent. You show up for people, and your presence and just being with people is, now that I'm older, I'm realizing it's such the heart of God, right? He sent the Holy Spirit to be with us always, right? That comforter. He says, life is going to be hard, but I will be with you, right? Jesus came down to be with us, right? God with us. That's such a big part of modeling who God is for the world is our ability to be with each other in life-giving ways when it's hard and when it's good, right? That's right. And so I think that awareness that I got right around middle school when my faith became my own was like, God is with me and like, he loves me. Like, okay, I get that. That settles me. That gives me security. That gives me identity. That gives me so much of what I needed before I became a name in the basketball space, right? So I started to really believe and see the Lord before I got to be known at a national or global way as a basketball player. So as I navigated my basketball experience, I felt like I was able to keep my feet on the ground for the most part, of understanding like all the hype and all the things and all the fame and all the attention doesn't define my identity. And I'm my highest call isn't to be at the top of my craft or to have as many followers as I can and make as much money as possible. My purpose has to do with how I treat people and how I'm with people and how I love and my connection with the Lord. So that is hard to navigate in that sport and entertainment space, but it literally kept me sane and it kept me to be who I am, so that when I did have an opportunity to use my platform to speak, I could share something helpful to humanize, bring that humanizing voice to whether it's the criminal justice space or the sport and entertainment space. But yeah, I was hanging on. You'll see, if anyone is able to read our book or listen to our book, you'll see like we're honest about our desperate clinging to the Lord at many times in our journey, and how real in the depth of our relationship with God and with each other will hopefully continue to be. But yeah, it's a journey, and I've had great people just pour into me and be great friends and model for me, endurance and empathy and just perseverance. So just grateful that, and it's what centered Jonathan in my relationship. It was just that friendship of like, you walking with the Lord? Oh, I'm walking with the Lord. You going through hard stuff? I'm dealing with hard stuff. We can be friends. Yeah.
And I know faith has also played a big role in this new chapter of your life, working with Win with Justice. I'd love to hear, what is the driving mission behind this nonprofit?
Yeah, Win with Justice was started, obviously inspired by Jonathan, and one of the big reasons he was wrongfully convicted was prosecutorial misconduct. There was police misconduct and there was prosecutorial misconduct, and that evidence was what eventually was able to be brought back to light and got his conviction overturned. And so I was encouraged to use my voice in that lane of prosecutorial reform. And so prosecutors have a large responsibility, a lot of power and influence over how justice is executed in our communities. And so I wanted to share with people my learning journey, because I knew nothing about prosecutors. I was overseas winning gold medals, representing the USA. Meanwhile, we have this mass incarceration reality. The land of the free, the home of the brave, and we house the most prisoners in the world. So I'm just like, that doesn't make sense to me. Let's shine a light on this and do what we can, because there are human beings in the prison system, in our justice system, in all of us at every level of how we interact with the justice system. We need to be better, right? And so Win with Justice focuses on educating people about how we can vote better and hold our prosecutors accountable, because we vote for prosecutors. And so if we, have prosecutors that are using language you can just kind of tell. It's like, it's more political, it's more dehumanizing, it's more like appearing to have certain values, but they have really high conviction rates because they're just all about the appearance of justice. But in reality, no one's going to have that high of a conviction rate if they're doing things with human eyes. And so sometimes the culture of prosecutors' offices is win at all costs. Their job is super hard. I'm not trying to say this is easy. This is a super hard job. They need to be respected and encouraged, but we need to respect and encourage the ones that are really trying to do it with eyes of restoration. What does real justice look like? Real justice is not taking a 16-year-old Black boy and throwing him away in prison. Even if Jonathan had done it, a non-fatal armed burglary is not a death sentence for a kid, right? And so whoever did it, it would have been over sentencing. Jonathan was sentenced to 65 years as a teenager. And so whoever did it, you know what I mean? It's like, what does restorative justice look like, as opposed to punitive? You're just going to pay the punishment. We're going to throw you away. You're going to work for the state, for pennies on the dollar, and we're going to forget about you. We can do that. We have been doing that in a lot of ways. Or there's another choice, right? There's another choice that makes the whole team better when we realize a prisoner is my teammate, right? Like, a lot of folks, like Jonathan says this all the time, they're going to get out of prison and become your neighbor. What kind of neighbor do you want when they come back into society, right? So we can't just ignore people, because we all matter and we all impact each other, whether we want to admit it or not. And so Win with Justice is just about inspiring us to get more involved in neighboring better. You know, how we vote, how we see each other, how we connect with people who aren't just like us. And so our book, I think, is just really inspiring in that vision. And so that's one of our main focuses, right? Is sharing our story, getting that out there, and also just trying to educate people to be more confident and encouraged as they participate in their local politics, and paying attention to the people that are in charge of justice, first of all, in your own county, right? You know, I think there's a lot of energy around who's the president going to be, and, you know, there's all this energy, but it starts with your own backyard. Are you going to school board meetings? Are you aware of who your prosecutor, your mayor, your sheriff, you know, your city council? Like, those are the people actually executing the welfare of your community. And so I think you'll just be more encouraged too when you feel like you are participating in the welfare of your community bit by bit, one step at a time, right? You're not going to become an expert overnight, but hopefully, just like me, I had to start somewhere. I'm still learning. I'm still realizing, when are the voting happening in our county? Like, I want to continue to be more involved. As I'm an adult now, right? Like, I need to participate at some level of what I can offer to use my voice to try to better our community.
Yeah, another thing that I've been just like to add to that is I'm fortunate enough to actually partner with the system in a lot of senses. Right now, I'm a consultant for a Superior Court judge down in Cobb County, and this judge is also my friend now. Like, he used to be a prosecutor, and like, he has come to value like my ideas and my thoughts and my experience, and like, actually seeks me out and wants to hear from me, wants to spend time and just talk through things with me, so he has an understanding of what he is sentencing people to. What is life like for people like that? Like what are your ideas about the prison system that needs to change? What is your system ideas about the criminal justice system? And one of the things that I'm also speaking into, and in any space that we go, is the need for effective reentry programs. There are prisoners that want to work. Like, they're chomping at the bit to get out and have a job. I know that because I was one of them, and I also knew a ton of people who were guilty that got up every morning, 6-7 o'clock in the morning, walk to work for 12 hours, get off work, come back, take a shower, eat, watch TV, go to sleep, do it again, rinse, wash, repeat, and like, didn't get any trouble, any drama, and some of them have gotten out and have done well for themselves. Like we say, you know, we say we want justice, but like, you can't have a circle of help and treatment and all that, but not have the ability to make them whole again. Like, if we're going to send a person into a place that is a pit, that it is so bad that it has to be hidden from the eyesight of the common people. No person in the United States can just go to their computer and look what's going on in prison. No one can write a letter and say what's happening because of all these different shields and everything. I guarantee you, if people did have that access, things would change. Like, everything can be hidden when the lights are off. Like, that shouldn't happen. And that is a place where there are people that are vulnerable. Yes, they have committed crimes. Yes, some have committed murder, and everything in between. But if you want people to actually change, it has to happen in an environment that is drowning people. Like, it is drowning people and taking everything from them. That has to become a place and a culture of change. Like, I lived in a prison where there were people had life without, and I had 65 years. And I took time out of my life to encourage guys that were getting ready to get out. I helped people do resumes. I counseled them. I was a facilitator. And I would tell them, like, hey man, here's your shot. You don't want to do this here. You don't want to be one of these guys that are lifers. They got guys that have life without in prison that are never going home. And give them an opportunity to be a big brother to these people that are coming in, because prison Yeah, it's a place that we don't know about, but it's a place of people. People connect there. God cares about what's happening there. Like, God cares about what's happening there so much that one of the first people, correct me if I'm wrong, but one of the first people that went to paradise with Jesus was a criminal on the cross, a convicted criminal who was sentenced to death. He said, today you will be in paradise. Who else did he tell that to? Like, and all throughout the Bible, there are a ton of scriptures that says, like, remember the prisoners. Like, God opens the prison gate. God sets the lonelies in families. Like, there's a story that is happening there. But if we just keep the light off, we will never know what's going on in there and how to change it. Like, people, like, why are these people getting out and coming back? Why is the recidivism rate so high? Mm-hmm. Well, let's go back and look at their life. Oh, there's a whole block of time where we can't see what happened in their life. Like, we need to see that in order to help and change things.
That was Maya Moore and Jonathan Irons. Make sure to read more of their story in the new issue of Relevant 115. Just click the magazine tab over there at relevantmagazine.com. All right, stay tuned. Up next, it's sequels to Electric Boogaloo. You're listening to Day Away. The song is Cool Water. Well, today's show is brought to you in part by World Vision. We all subscribe to a lot of services that make our lives easier and more entertaining. But as followers of Jesus, we should want to seek first the kingdom of God in all areas of life, including our spending. That's why I'm so excited about a new kind of subscription through World Vision. Not one for myself, but for others. It's called Believers for World Change. And when you sign up, you're joining a community of change makers working to help end extreme poverty around the world and here at home. World Vision is a Christian humanitarian organization that works with children, families, and communities to reach their God-given potential, focusing on things like gender equality, spiritual nurture, and access to clean water, education, job training, and healthcare, so the entire picture of poverty can be addressed. Let's subscribe to something new together. Subscribe to World Change today at worldvision.org. Again, that's worldvision.org. Okay, it's time for...
It's equals to Electric Boogaloo.
Okay, it is sequel season. It is summer. It's the summer of sequels. My goodness, Hollywood is out of original ideas. Literally everything's a sequel this year. All the big films. Did you see Inside Out 2 is going to be the biggest animated film of all time?
It was great, by the way. I saw it. Fantastic.
Interesting.
I haven't
talk like if very insightful about like the way. Yeah, I've heard even like therapists and counselors are recommending people see it.
Thing, yeah.
Because of the way it conceptualizes the idea of anxiety and how it can manifest and kind of overwhelm all other emotions and sort of the motivations of the anxious mind. I thought it was really great, all I have to say. And it also had some laughs, Amy Poehler, always good.
Tearjerker.
Did you cry at all? I cried. I was not expecting to cry in the first one, and I cried a lot. So
I did not cry.
Well, he doesn't have a heart. He doesn't like Good Will Hunting. We've
or
established
Space.
this.
Yeah, I forgot about that. So if you
there was
didn't
no
cry,
space in
that
the
means
film.
I probably will cry because I'm the opposite. Got it.
Yeah. I laughed at the painful parts
So I'll
because
scream.
I laughed at how much I didn't want to cry, to be honest with you. I found it hilarious that I was unmoved.
Since Cohen's 2
Emotionally.
years old, in every movie, when it has a touching scene toward the end, whatever, the dad and the son's about to hug or the dog makes it or whatever, Cohen doesn't watch the movie. I see his head turns and he's staring at me because he knows I'm crying. And like, since he's a little kid, he's like, why are you crying? It's not even that sad. I'm like, when you get older, you'll understand the
He
pain.
will. When you have a kid, you just start crying. I don't know.
I used to do
nowhere.
that to my mom all the time because she would cry at a lot of movies. Like she would cry in all the Hallmark movies, which I was like, Mom, you know what's going to happen. Like, I can just relay the title and you know what's going to happen. But she'll still cry all the time. And I will like watch her and I can see her trying not to cry because she doesn't want to be made fun of. But I'm like, stop crying at these movies. They're not sad.
Yeah, agreed. That's how I felt in Inside Out 2 and Good Will Hunting. So there we go.
And Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift.
That's right. I did cry in that.
All right. Okay, so we're going to play sequels to Electric Boogaloo. Okay, so what we're going to do is I am going to read the plot of a movie sequel. You are going to tell me what movie sequel this is the plot to. There you go.
Okay.
Or maybe at least the franchise, because some of them.
Emily put this together. Yeah, you don't have to say like the after the colon name. Just tell me like what. Yeah. Emily put this together, so she's going to keep score. So here we go. Jesse, you're up first. In this sequel, a shark follows a family to the Bahamas to exact revenge, despite the fact that sharks don't hold grudges or travel vast distances for personal vendettas. The climax features the shark roaring like a dinosaur and being impaled by the prow of a boat.
This movie, I think my son and some of his buddies watched it. Is it Jason's? What is it called? It's gonna bother me. Megalodon. Is it a Megalodon sequel?
This is Jaws.
Jaws Revenge. Yeah,
from
The
1987. Yeah,
I remember seeing that and being like, how do they follow him to the Bahamas? It's fresh water and stuff like that.
Okay, Marty, you're up. Here we go. In this sequel, the protagonist must stop a ship from crashing into an oil tanker by literally steering it into a city. The villain's motive, revenge for losing his job to a computer.
Man, that is rough. I don't know that I've ever... I feel like you're going to tell it to me.
It's one of the
Jesse?
greatest names of a sequel ever. And I think they just thought of the name and were like, well, we got to figure out a movie about
What is it? What is it?
Speed 2, Cruise Control.
Cruise Control.
From 1997.
Oh, my goodness.
Wow. They were like, we got to do a sequel to Speed.
Totally
What about if it's
different
on a
casting.
Cruise
It was
Control.
just, yeah. Amazing
Was it
movie.
different casting?
Yeah, Keanu Reeves wasn't in it, but what's his name was still in the movie?
Sandra Bullock.
Yeah, but they just like broke up with Keanu Reeves in the movie. It's a whole thing.
Here's the thing. The excitement of a runaway city bus in urban Los Angeles that can't go under 50 miles an hour is much more exciting than a cruise ship going 50 knots in the open ocean with no obstruction. That's where they kind of lost it.
All right, Jesse, here we go. This sequel inexplicably turns the immortal warriors from the first film into aliens from another planet. The plot involves a shield covering the Earth to protect it from the sun and a battle against an evil corporation controlling the shield.
I don't know what this movie is, but I need to see it.
Highlander 2, The Quickening.
Oh, Highlander 2. Yeah,
From 1991.
we're going 90s now.
Yeah.
Well, that's all in my queue now.
There can only be one, so.
All right, Marty. The sequel delves into pseudoscientific hypnosis and dream sharing machines. The plot includes a quest to find a holy man in Africa and a locust swarm representing demonic possession. The convoluted storyline completely strays from the original's roots.
My God, I have no clue what
Can I
this
make a
possibly
guess?
could. Yeah, please make a guess, because I had a guess, but I feel like it's going to be
Is this a
offend
mummy?
somebody.
Is this a mummy movie?
No. The Exorcist 2, The Heretic from 1977.
The Heretic.
Exorcist.
You're going like these are rough sequels, I got to say.
Okay, Emily put it together. Blame her. Here we go. Emily, what's the score?
0-0.
0-0. All right, Jesse, here we go. Overloaded with puns and neon lighting, this sequel features a plot where the villain wants to freeze the world and another villain who wants to cover a city in plants. The heroes use ice skates and credit cards, making the film feel like an extended toy commercial.
Good movie. I love this movie.
Is this Batman?
Batman and Robin, 1997.
Yep. Great.
The skates.
Marty, here we go. We just gonna wrap it here. Here we go, Marty. Here we go. This sequel revolves around a wealthy but clueless businessman trying to fit into an exclusive country club. Humor falls flat with over-the-top slapstick and forced jokes, lacking the original's wit and charm.
Caddyshack.
Caddyshack 2, 1988.
Come on, let's go.
Now, okay,
Caddyshack
one tiebreaker. Whoever knows it first, yell it out. Here we go. This sequel has A dim-witted duo embarking on a road trip to find a long-lost daughter. The film rehashes old
Dumb and
jokes.
Dumber 2.
There it is.
Wrong. Dumb and Dumber. Sorry.
Dumb and Dumber.
It says Dumb and Dumber T.O. Like
It's
that's
T.
what.
Yeah, it's T.O. Yeah.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, there you go. Hey, Marty won. There you go.
There you go.
That'll do it for.
Congrats, Marty.
It's equals to Electric Boogaloo.
Well, before we wrap things up, I want to thank Maya Moore and Jonathan Irons for joining us today. Make sure to check out their story. It's an incredible story of all the stuff that they're doing for prison reform and sentencing reform. It's really inspiring. You can find it in the new issue of Relevant. It's available for free. You can just click the magazine tab and read all of our amazing articles right there. Or if you want the beautifully designed, if you liked our old print mag from a couple years ago, / the last 20 years up until a couple years ago, it looks just like that. But it is enhanced, it's interactive, it's beautiful, it's perfectly suited for tablets and screens. We've totally reimagined what we've been doing over the last few years, reinvented it, and it is out now. It is part of Relevant Plus. You get exclusive content, an expanded experience, a better experience. You also get ad-free unlimited reading at relevantmagazine.com, and you get an ad-free version of this podcast and more. Plans start as low as $250 a month. It's the best way to experience our content. I think you'll like it a lot. Go check it out. Relevant Plus, you can find out everything at relevantmagazine.com. All right, on that note, we'll wrap things up. I'm Cameron Strang.
I'm Jesse Carey.
I'm Emily Brown.
I'm Marty.
We'll see you on Friday. Have a great week, everyone.
Thanks for listening to the Relevant Podcast. Check out our features, interviews, and news updates every day at relevantmagazine.com. And make sure to follow Relevant on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram for the latest. For more great podcasts, browse the shows on the Relevant Podcast Network, which you can find at our site. And while you're there, don't miss the all-new era of Relevant Magazine. A new issue releases every other month at relevantmagazine.com.
We got miles of cave to explore with jetpacks.
Relevant Podcast Network.